start over. Statement of rights. You are hereby ordered to fully cooperate with the investigating official. Your failure to cooperate will create an objective and subjective fear of termination. You have the following rights and responsibilities during this investigation. You have the right to be informed of the allegations involved. You will be asked questions specifically directed and narrowly related to the performance of your official duties. Statements made during any interviews may be used as evidence of misconduct or as a basis for seeking disciplinary action against you. Any statements made by you during these interviews cannot be used against you in any subsequent criminal proceedings, nor can the fruits of any of your statements be used against you in any subsequent criminal proceedings. If you so request, a person of your choice may be present to serve as a witness during the interviews. If you refuse to answer questions relating to the performance of your official duties, you will be subject to dismissal. Acknowledgement. I have read and understand the above notification.
Yes.
Any questions on that? So
Nope.
I have you sign right there and date it. Then I'll do the same.
When we're done, can I get signed copies of those?
Sure.
Thank you.
Just 1 p.m. Good.
Yeah, that's fine. All signed and dated. Just remind me so I don't forget.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, some of these questions are going to be very basic, real easy.
Okay.
Years in law enforcement.
Going on 6.
6 years. Is that all in Clintonville, or is it at different departments?
Different departments.
Okay. So can you break it down for me?
Yeah, so I think I worked in Waupaca County as a reserve deputy for a year. And then I worked with Marion Police Department part-time for a year. And then the first time that I was here for about 9 months part-time. And then I went to Hortonville Police Department for just over 2.5 years. I'll slow down.
That's fine. How long at Hortonville?
Just over 2.5 years.
And was that full-time or part-time?
Full-time.
Okay.
And then I came back here in September of 19 full-time. Actually, I came back here part-time in November of 18 and worked part-time for 9 months or 10 months before I became full-time again here.
Okay, so you worked Clintonville 9 months.
Yep.
Hortonville, they came back to Clintonville for 9 more months of part-time, and then September 2019 full-time.
Yep. So for 9 months I worked full-time in Hortonville and part-time here.
Okay.
The goal was to be full-time here. So I figured I'd work part-time until a spot opened up.
Oh, yeah.
That way
Yeah,
I could just
bide your
bounce
time.
right into
Bide
it
your
once it opened up.
Have you had any drug training?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe it for me?
I went to Operation Rush. And I went to A-Ride.
So Operation Rush, well, how many hours or days was that training?
Oof, I believe that was 3 8-hour days. 2 or 3 8-hour days. So 24 maybe hours.
And that's an interdiction course, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then A-Ride?
A-Ride would have been 2 8-hour days.
Okay.
And that one's more so drug influenced
Yep.
drivers.
OWI type stuff
Yep.
like that. Impaired drivers.
Just trying to think. I think that's the only specialized drug
Okay,
stuff that
that's
I
fine.
went to, other than just basic search warrant entry and writing and stuff.
So in all your combined 6 years, including municipal citations, misdemeanors, and felonies, approximate number of drug arrests that you've done, that you've had. Just an approximate number.
I'd have to say more than 100
Okay.
easily. I think I've had personally over 20 this year for criminal referrals.
Have you had any history with Devin
No.
prior to this contact?
Okay, so we had, I don't know the exact date, but it would have been earlier in the year. Officer Arietta and I had contact with her on a suspicious at the apartment complex because we had a call that it smelled like weed.
Okay.
So we went there and had made contact at their apartment because that's where we determined that the smell was coming from. And her ex-boyfriend, so not Mr. Cotter, ended up receiving ordinance citations for possession of THC or paraphernalia, one of the two. And then 2 weeks after that, Bartle and I had gone there for a similar issue, determined that it was their apartment that had the weed odor coming from it.
Okay.
And that was the time where the window scenario came into question.
All right.
And Devin was issued a citation at that time for either possession of THC or possession of drug paraphernalia. And then shortly, I don't know the exact date, but it was after those that I had a traffic stop in which Devin was a passenger and the driver was arrested for possession of meth and THC. And those are the only 3 that I recall other than this traffic stop.
Go back to, as you described it, the window incident. Are you the one that looked in the window?
Initially, yes.
Okay. And it's an apartment complex, or is it a home?
Apartment complex.
Which window did you look in?
It would have been the living room or common area. It was just to the west of the door to get into that building.
So looking into that window, it's just the living room and the common area. You can't see any bedrooms by looking into that window.
Correct. And the blinds were like partially shut. The blinds were broken.
Yep.
So you couldn't even see into the whole living room, but there was a table right underneath the window,
Okay.
which is where the pipe and the bag of weed was sitting right there. And I could see it from, I think I was probably a good 3.5 feet from the window, being able to see that. So it wasn't like I went up and, put my hands on the window and was peeking around or anything like that. It was...
Have you had any history with Jason?
We had a complaint that came in where a young female's mother had brought in messages from her daughter's Facebook account. And Jason was having her run to, I believe, the Valley to pick up, I want to say ecstasy, but I'm not 100% sure it was ecstasy. Some sort of pills or drug along the lines of that. Had her run to the Valley, I believe, to pick those up and bring them to him. And the conversations were, again, between Jason and this girl's daughter on Facebook. And that would have been approximately April, May, somewhere around that time. I think other than that, he was a passenger in a traffic stop. That was a verbal warning, and nothing
Nothing came of that?
Nothing came out of that one, no.
And the daughter of the complainant, it wasn't Devin, it was another girl?
Completely separate, right? And we had a little bit of drug history with that daughter from that incident.
Did you observe the search of Devin by
Yes.
Bartel?
Yep.
Can you just describe it to your best of recollection?
I know when we first asked her to step out of the vehicle, her and Jason were both essentially refusing, saying that she did not have to get out. Once she eventually got out willingly, she had got out, came to the back, and Bartle questioned if there was anything in the vehicle. She wasn't really being all that cooperative, so he had advised her that he was going to conduct a search of her and asked her if she had anything on her. She did ask for a female officer. Bartle told her that there was not a female officer available and that there was multiple officers on scene. At that point, she had turned from Bartle and began walking back towards the driver door.
Okay.
And told Jason that we wanted to search her. And again, Jason started spewing off about how that was against her rights and illegal. Bartle ended up grabbing her, I believe it was her right arm, to direct her back towards the rear of the car.
Okay.
She kind of pulled her arm away and said, "Don't fucking touch me." So get her to the back of the car. Bartle began searching her. She was facing the vehicle. I believe he started up by her shoulder area, not 100% sure, but he checked her pockets.
Okay.
Went up and felt her leg up. It was only halfway up her thigh, I'd say. He went with his hands, and then diverted back, checked the waistband, and that was pretty much the extent of it. She had made a comment while he was searching her and basically just said, "I've been harassed by men before."
Okay.
That was the only thing she had said. Once the search was complete, she just kind of kept on doing what they were doing, but she never really had any issues, specific issues.
Okay. Did at any time during the search did she make any allegations for sexual assault, as far as "don't touch me there, you touched whatever"?
No.
Did she say anything like that?
No.
Did you observe the search of Jason?
Yes.
Okay, can you describe that for me?
Yeah, so when Jason finally got out of the vehicle willingly, Bartle was searching he had a chain connected to his pants that was kind of hanging down.
Okay.
With I believe it was a vape and a lighter or something like that on it, and Bartle wasn't 100% sure on how to get it off, so I had reached in and unclipped it from his belt buckle.
Okay.
So once that was removed, I held on to that. Bartle checked his pockets, and then I believe he went down his leg and just felt over his jeans, checked his shoe line, came up, and I believe then he went checked the waistband. And as Bartle got to the front of Jason's waistband, Jason made a comment, said, "That's my penis."
Okay.
And Bartle kind of pulled back, like quickly almost,
Okay.
at that point when Jason said that, and then just continued his search by checking his coat pockets
Okay.
up to his shoulders, and then it was done. The only comment that Jason had made was he looked at me and said, "Can we get a straight officer out here?"
Did you ever see Bartel touch Jason's butt with a gloved finger, or put his hands down the back of Jason's pants?
No.
Like to touch his butt or his crack area?
No.
Did you observe shaking the vehicle?
Yeah, I believe it was in the center console, and there was a little bit like by the cup holder right in front of the center console. So just basically that whole center console portion.
you ever stopped vehicles with shake in it before?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever said, hey, I'm going to remove that shake for you? Or do you tell them that, hey, there's shake in the vehicle, you need to clean it and get out of there?
Every time we tell them to clean their vehicle, vacuum it, and we even make comments to them, even that shake that you have on the floorboard, you know, a cannon's going to alert on that, so just get it cleaned up kind of thing.
Have you ever been disciplined, suspended, or anything like that?
No.
Alright, that's all I have. Is there anything you want to add or anything that I should know?
I guess the only thing that I would add would go back to the window incident.
Okay.
I don't know how much focus there is on that portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
When we first initially went there, when it was Officer Arietta and I, 2 weeks prior to that, that specific window was open when we had the odor and gotten stuff out of the apartment.
Okay.
So when Bartle and I were there that night, when we had the odor coming from that apartment again, that was the main reason for walking outside and checking that
Okay.
window to see if it was either open again or if there was ashes dumped in the snow right outside the window.
You said the first instance the window was open.
Correct.
You could smell it easier. And then
Yep.
Was there ashes outside the window, or
On
you're
the
not
first
sure?
incident, no,
No,
there
okay.
wasn't.
But you were just checking.
Yeah, the first
okay.
incident we didn't actually look at the window, but it was that second time we went there, like 2
Mhm.
weeks later. That's where I got the idea to go check the window to see if it was either open or if there was ashes in the snow. Because
Okay.
it looked like they were smoking by that window and blowing the smoke out the window. So that was just the main purpose, and there was nothing in the snow when I went by the window.
All right. Anything else?
I don't think so.
You got all my questions. I think, sir.
Oh, good one.
All right. Let's cut this thing off.